Welcome back. Modern warfare, with its cockpit video, satellite imagery, and high-tech soldiering, is often compared to a video game. That's a simile that cuts both ways. Take a look at the gaming shelves of any video store and you'll see names like Call of Duty, Under Siege, and America's Army. Games with scenarios built around contemporary military conflicts, often in the Middle East. Here's the listening post Salah Qadar on the games that, whether the players know it or not, are virtual recruiting tools for militaries looking to put young players on the real front lines.
50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
The explosion in popularity of the video game in recent years has not always been credited as a media phenomenon. But for many, younger people in particular, military video games have become a primary media source for finding out about current global conflicts.
Well, there have always been war-themed video games, but now it's not only possible to watch in the United States what I would consider to be an entertaining war on television news, but also to have that ultimate experience of playing that war in real time as it happens.
In a way, they have become part of your media. They're part of you telling the story. It's a way of reinforcing facts the way you would like, the public to know them.
The young people out there might not be prepared for this message. They might kind of just say, well, I'm just going to play the game. They might not realize what's going on behind the scenes. What is the subtle effect of this game? And how is it influencing their consciousness?
America's kids and kids in the Middle East play games. Parents know they're entertaining, and there's lots of talk about the impact the hours of violence has on young minds. But has it occurred to parents that these are also among the military's most potent recruiting tools? Example, a game called America's Army.
It's the official US Army game, and it was released, I think, for the first time in 2002. And in a nutshell, America's Army is a kind of simulation of a soldier's life.
You look like you're really into this. You guys want a real challenge?
Really wonderful thing that has happened with this game is that we've made the weapons sighting as accurate as possible. So when you look over a scope of a weapon, or when you look over the iron sights of a weapon, it looks realistic to what an actual rifleman sees when he's on a combat operation.
The military then understands also that video games are very important for recruitment, allowing them to be downloaded for free. At some of the game shows, the military people will admit that these are the best things that they have devised for recruiting young people, and that they actually also admit those who have been using video games can be better trained and more easily on the weaponry.
It's just really about completing the mission, and that simplistic theory is very powerful in the recruiter's hands, because the young people are less likely to examine the conflict that they're involved in. They're more interested in examining the mission and completing the mission with the cool weapons and the cool guns, the cool helicopters.
The authenticity of the hardware used in the games is due in part to the close, some would say too close, links between the military and games manufacturers.
The main merger between the military and the media industries has really come about through the video game. The video game, more than anything, makes use of all of these types of technologies. And the economies of war then over the years have really merged with the media industries.
On the one hand, the Pentagon looks to the gaming industry for inspiration and software so it can build its training simulators, as well as, more recently, military recruiting video games. And on the other hand, the gaming industry keeps close ties with the Pentagon so it can have access to the latest weapons specs so that those specs can be included in various war games.
And much like other media wars, this gaming evolution is not without its opponents, its resistance fighters, resisting both the images and the dominant Western narratives most of these games offer.
Now, America is not unique. Hezbollah has developed its own video game, and there are games developed by Syrian developers also that are looking into this, and so what they've done is they have video games that are also promoting their side of the story.
I think this is also a very recent and very interesting development that we've seen again, largely since 9/11 and since the emergence of some of these video games which seek to mirror real-world conflict scenarios. In many ways, I think people from Hezbollah, for example, are probably sick and tired of seeing Arab cities being bombed and destroyed in many of these war games. So they offer a very different kind of interpretation. Both Under Siege and Special Force take the perspective of a young Palestinian who decides to join the Intifada. And so they offer a very different kind of set of outcomes.
Well, Hezbollah argues that Hezbollah is combating a trend in the global media, the global entertainment industry, in which Arabs are always the bad guys. And that happens in a lot of video games. It's not just the America's Army video game. And almost every video game that deals with military, there are Arab enemies. There are people with, headdresses, and they're kind of shot off randomly.
This new medium even features attacks on the real news media. This game, Call of Duty version 4, shows a newsroom unmistakably modelled on Al Jazeera Arabic. How would Americans react if an Arabic game did the same and featured an attack on, say, CNN? But with videos like these being posted every day by soldiers in the field, do the promoters realise that recruitment is not the only area of war being impacted?
The problem with video games and war, and here's the problem with fictional representations of war, nobody dies in the other side of a video game. You battle with the enemy, you get to use the high-tech weapons, but nobody ever really dies. So a video game is a way of preparing for war, training for war, all with death kind of taken out of the equation.
More Global Village voices now on how they see military video games.
In the gaming industry, the effects of this kind of media and these kind of media messages are much more prominent than perhaps even in watching movies, because in a game the player gets to actually simulate and immerse themselves inside the minds and the activities of US military operations internationally.
The gaming experience necessitates that both teams are balanced or have equal opportunities of winning, whereas if you're going to push a military agenda, you have to paint one team in an especially good light. You have to make them either more capable, more charismatic, something like that. So most players I know of basically respond with little care for what team they're on. They're as happy being red, blue, Christian, Muslim, Axis, allies, lizards, humans. It's inconsequential.
Finally, given that so much of Bill Gates' multi-billion-dollar fortune was made through the development of the internet, it was fitting that his retirement from the top of Microsoft would be marked somehow on the World Wide Web. Gates logged off recently with a video that's taken a lot of hits. So the retirement of the geek's ultimate geek is our Internet Video of the Week. See you next time at The Listening Post.
It's been in the planning for the past 2 years. He'll still be active as chairman. It's hard to believe it's really here.
You know, after all these years, he's finally taking work-life balance seriously. He's even got a personal trainer.
Just think high, H-I, to the sky. You and I, right now.
But more importantly, it's the creative risks he takes that really set him apart.
Yeah, just take that. Hello, Bill?
Dude, wasn't that the craziest riff you've ever heard?
We're full up in the band, Bill. All positions are filled.
Bill's always been a big fan of the movies.
I can't play Bill Gates. It's just not something I'm good at. Why don't you get Russell Crowe to do it? You'd be... Oh, you did? Yeah.
And you didn't hear this from me. It's a pretty strange coincidence that his transition date is right in the middle of the 2008 presidential campaign.
Hey, it's Bill.
Bill Shatner of Star Trek?
No, the other Bill.
Bill Clinton?
Oh, hey, Bill.
No, it's not an inconvenient time.